So, if you are ready, we could start with our first session for today. It's about Spring Boot under the hood. Our foreign speaker, Nicolas Fränkel, I picked him up from our airport, so I had a chance to talk with him a little bit. So, very interesting topic. So, I think you'll enjoy it. Please, Nicolas.
Thank you. Do you hear me with the mic? Okay. I will remove it. Everybody hears me without the mic? No? Oh, come on, guys.
The audio won't be filmed.
We have to. Okay.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Is that working? Or 1, 2, 3. It is working. It is working. 1, 2, 3.
Okay. Now? Better? Okay. Just the thing is, I will at some point code, so it will be very hard to hold the mic and code at the same time. I hope you will excuse me. So welcome for this session about Spring Boot under the hood. It's my first time in Croatia, so sorry I don't speak Croatian. I will do the talk in English. I have a little accent. I'm not an English native speaker. I'm from France. I'm Nicolas Fränkel. Today I'm not wearing a suit, so I'm a developer. Sometimes I might be wearing a suit, then I will be a solution or a software architect, because it's better when you have a suit to talk with management, right? You know what I mean. It has been like nearly 15 years that I'm working in IT, in the Java, in the Java world. So yeah, I'm always been working as a consultant, meaning, yeah, I've seen a lot of different stuff. And why did it change now? I've seen a lot of different stuff, but I'm not the kind of consultant which just goes away when things go wrong. I stay for years with the same customer. I'm working for Hybris, which is an e-commerce platform. We have been bought by SAP. I don't know if it's a good thing, but for now I'm pretty happy about that. SAP is a great company. They just sent me here. So if you want to return the kindness, after the talk we are recruiting, just come take your business card and send me your resume. Of course, you will probably have to relocate in one of those not nice countries like Switzerland and Germany. And yeah, but shit happens, right? So, who knows about the Spring Framework? Yeah, nearly everyone. That's good. And this guy in the lower right corner is Phil Webb, and it describes the Spring Framework as this kind of stuff. So you've got the sugar, you've got flour, you've got the chocolate, you've got the eggs, and you have to do your stuff yourself. And when I had to set up a project with the Spring Framework, yeah, I did it on my own because I trusted no one. It took me 1 or 2 days, and then afterwards I said to the team, okay, now you can work, guys. And it's very good. The Spring Framework is really great stuff, but yeah, the startup, the ramp-up time, it's very high, at least for me. And now comes Spring Boot, and the same guys describes it. Yeah, who knows about this picture? Oh, no one. Hey, guys. Okay, so yeah, the Spring Boot is the cake, ready. You don't need to do anything. It's convention over configuration. You know Maven? It's convention over configuration. Basically, it means that you don't need to do anything if you follow the right path. Of course, you can add some more sugar, you can add your birthday message, you can add stuff, candles perhaps, but otherwise, it's ready to be eaten. And that's Spring Boot. Who already uses Spring Boot? Oh. Half the room. That's good. Okay, and for me, the best stuff about Spring Boot is this kind of stuff. The Spring Boot actuator. You just add a starter, a simple, stupid Maven dependency. And just with this stupid stuff, so it's one snippet of XML, you can have everything. You can monitor your application. You have so many endpoints. You have the health endpoints, which is able to check that your dependency are up, thus that your application is up. You've got the metrics endpoint, which shows you, for example, how much time your last request took hook. You've got info endpoint, which gives you info about your Git repository state. It's really great with just one snippet of XML. So you got a lot of Spring Boot because, well, it works very well, but it feels a little magical because it works until it doesn't anymore, or you want not to take the default path. And in this case, you'd better understand what happens under the hood. That's good, because the subject is Spring Boot under the hood. So that's what I will be trying to explain right now. So let's say that I want to use a new starter, and in this case, it's a starter data GPA. Let's check how it works. So when we look at the dependencies, we see that the starter data GPA has a dependency on the so-called Spring Boot starter jar, which in turn has a dependency on the Spring Boot auto-configure jar. Let's check it. This is a simple jar, but there are some magical files into the meta-int folder. You know the manifest.imf, the deployment descriptor. You have more stuff. One very important, the entry point is a string.factories file. So let's check it. Spring factories, you have a whole bunch of stuff inside. The more important is, yeah, it's written very small, but there is a key called enable auto configuration where you have a list of other classes which points to classes, right? One of them is called GPA repository auto configuration. Let's have a look at it. And this is this simple stuff. Yeah, simple, right? No, the most important stuff is that it's a class, which is empty. Okay? So it's an empty class. It's a standard configuration class. So if you already know Spring Boot, you probably are using configuration classes. You just annotate your class with add configuration. It makes it a configuration class. The rest are conditional on stuff. There is an import toward the real configuration class, and there is an auto-configurate after, which probably means there is some kind of ordering. We won't go into this detail. We will look at the conditional stuff. So there is a conditional on bean, conditional on class, conditional on missing bean, and stuff like that. And I just want to talk about the profile. Who knows about the profile? Oh, 10% of the audience. So profile is a very good stuff, because that means, who knows about the Maven profiles? Half the room. Okay, Maven profiles are a great way to configure your build. So basically, you are activating a profile, and you will get a different jar, a different war, or a different artifact in the end. But with Spring profiles, the stuff is activated at runtime. So it's much more flexible. You have a single artifact, and it can be configured at runtime, depending on your environment or whatever. And this is the old profile. And when I say the old profile, it's because there is a new one. And now we see that the new profile has been changed to use the add conditional stuff. So basically, they reworked the profile to use conditional. So what is conditional? Basically, conditional is just a simple, stupid annotation that points to a condition class, a condition interface in this case. This is an interface which has only one method, so Java 8 user know this is functional interface, and it matches, returns a Boolean. So basically, it will get activated or not, depending on some parameters and your business logic inside. And profile condition is an implementation of this condition, but there is another branch in the hierarchy called Spring Boot condition, which is an abstract class, which gets more debugging logic and stuff, and every conditional on whatever inherits from this condition, null, which point to the Spring Boot condition. So how does it work? Very simple. The Spring framework will call the condition and call the match method. If the match is returned true, then the annotated method will get called and will return the bean. If not, it won't. It's not clear, right? So it's time for a demo, and I will have to leave this. So here I have a simple, very simple application, right? I'm just using Java 8, Spring Boot Maven plugin. So here I have my main entry point. I will create a new class. Let's call it boot configuration. And I will annotate it as configuration. So since I've created it under the same package as this one, it will get handled automatically by Spring Boot, right? Because it's in the same package or a lower package. Now, what I can do is I will create a bean method that will return a string. No. Okay. And just to be sure that it gets called, I will print it. It's not an error, but yeah. So here, normally what should happen is during startup, it should write hello Javantura, which is the case, right? This is your normal Spring Boot stuff. Now, if I add a conditional, I will add a conditional on missing class. So if the class is missing, and here I will use something which probably shouldn't be missing, is a string, right? So if what I told you is true, then this method shouldn't be called. And it's good, I didn't lie. Not called anymore. Now, if I want to say that this will be called only when the class exists, it should be called again, because probably string is on the class path. And here it's called again. So this is simple Boolean. Does it exist or not? Then go back to the mic. So you have many out-of-the-box conditions. You can check whether a class is on the class path. You can check whether the bean is in the context. You can check whether a Spring expression language expression is true or false. You can check the version of Java. You can check GNDI branch. You can check many, many different stuff. If it's a web app, whatever. So you have a very, very rich hierarchy. And in this case, I would really advise you never use if Boolean logic in your bean methods. This should be exported. It should be outsourced, externalized through those annotations. So if you already have conditional logic in your methods, probably remove them and use this kind of stuff. And if it's not enough, probably it is enough, but if it's not enough, you can compose those conditional together. So if it's a web application and the GNDI branch exists, then call the bean method. So again, don't try to be too complex, but sometimes you might need that, so you might compose those annotation with Boolean logic. Now it's time to get our own starter. So here I cheated a little. Everything is already ready. Yeah, demo syndrome. I try to avoid it. So this is a project that was made using the Spring Initializer. Who knows about the Spring Initializer? 10% again. Guys, the Spring Initializer is a very, very great stuff. Mainly, it's online. There is a web interface. Then if you want to kickstart a new Spring Boot project, go on the wait page. You just check. You say, I want to use Maven or Gradle. You say, I want to use Java 7 or 8. I want to use this starter and this starter. And basically, it gets you a ready to start project in the form of a zip. It can be used as an IntelliJ plugin. I think there is also a way to curl it or to telnet it. It's really great. So don't do this stuff on your own. Be lazy. A good software engineer is lazy. So I have nothing here. So as a showcase for my own Spring Boot starter, I will use Extreme. And this time I won't ask because probably no one knows about Extreme because only old people know about Extreme. Who knows about Extreme? Yeah, that's what I thought. Either people who don't have hair or who have gray hair. So Extreme is an extremely useful XML and JSON serializer. Really. If you don't need JAX-B, probably you want to use Extreme. You don't need probably JSON, just use Extreme. It's very fast, it's provided with ThoughtWorks, and it's very efficient. It has a very clean API. It's really good. So here, I want to create a starter to use Extreme. So the first step is basically to just say that it depends on Extreme. So as soon as I add my starter as a dependency, I will also have transitively Extreme as a dependency. What I told you next is, okay, now what I want to do is basically to have these Spring factories. And this Spring factories has the key, that I referenced before, enable auto configuration, that points to my auto configuration. As I said, an auto configuration is just a simple, stupid configuration. So for now, it's empty. Now, Extreme is extremely well designed. Basically, there is no static method. You need to have an Extreme instance. And this Extreme instance has no state. So basically, it sounds like it's a good target for a singleton bean, right? So let's do that. We will, inside our own starter, design, create an Extreme instance to be used by our client app. So here, what I'm using is a bean method, an Extreme bean method, very simple. And I will just say that if I don't find an Extreme instance in my client app or anywhere in the context, then I will create it myself. So let's use this. So here I'm using the dependency, right? And I'm setting the version because I installed it before. Again, no problem with demo syndrome. So right now what I will do is I will do something like that. I will use something called the command line runner. Command line runner is very great. It means that you will be able to execute something when the method is called runner. And here I will have return a new command line runner. And because it's so great to use Java 8. I will be hype. I will get a lambda. So here, I will inject the extreme instance, even though I didn't instantiate it. So I will just say that it's auto-wired somewhere. And so here, I should have something into the extreme stuff. So basically, in my client app, I instantiated nothing. I'm just using the starter. The starter uses the extreme instance and provides it to the context without me doing nothing. Let's use the extreme instance now. So this is stupid stuff. I will just create a public static class person, and I will say public final string first name, public final string last name, and I will create a constructor with that. And here, what I will do is I will create a new person. With John Doe, and I will put it to XML. To XML person. So this is a simple API. Really, just check extreme. It's really great, but old. So yeah. Oh, 5 minutes. I have to get very quick then. Now, what I want to do is I want to prove that if I provide my own extreme instance, the starter won't get activated. Let's do that. So I will create my own extreme instance. And in this case, in order to prove that, I will say that I will use a JSON serializer, because I told you Extreme can use XML or JSON. And if I run it again, now I've got JSON. How cool is that? So starter, Spring Boot plus Extreme is extremely powerful. And now what I want to do is, probably what I want is that I want to customize the serialization of my converter. I don't want to have this kind of stuff. I want to have something else. So here can convert, I said this will only work if type is of type person. This unmarshal we don't care because we only want to convert from the object to the stream. And here I will say, and that's where it shows that it's a little old because there is no use of generics. So you will have to do this kind of stuff yourself, which is not nice, but anyway, it works. So I will start node and I will say person. And here I will create value, first name, person dot first name plus dot last name, and here I will write a dot and node. So here I won't have the last stuff. I will just aggregate everything into one single person stuff. And here it's very easy because in the extreme instance, I can say, here I can register register this converter so that here I don't have first name and last name, I have one single stuff. So this is extreme. Now the problem is I could only register the converter because I used my own extreme instance. But let's say that I want to use the default extreme instance. How would that be possible? Well, it's very possible by using a simple trick. So now I'm using the conditional on bean. So if there is at least one bean of type converter, I will get it and register it automatically inside the starter. The only thing that I have to do is use the new version. And I will remove that. So here, normally, I have to create a converter. I was too quick. So here, normally, when I launch the stuff, the converter will be part of the context. It will be detected by the Spring Boot starter that I've created and register automatically in any extreme instance there is in the context. Let's check. So here, I'm using the default XML extreme instance. And yeah, it works. So here, I'm using the XML extreme instance, but still my converter has been registered. So this is a simple gymnastic that you can do to create your own Spring Boot starter. And there is 1 minute for Q&A. If you are interested into the code, it's on GitHub. You can check my blog regularly. You can follow me on Twitter. You can become my friend on LinkedIn. And don't forget, small business card to work in not nice country like Germany and Switzerland. So has any of you any question about that? Or it was very clear? Or it was not clear at all and you don't have questions? Yep.
Have you ever had the need to write a custom conditional annotation?
No. And again, I would really advise you into most of the cases not to do that because, yeah, keep it simple and stupid. You know that, right? No, I don't know why it goes like that, but let's say that here it will be good enough. Other questions? So time is up. If you have any questions and you are too shy to speak in front of the audience, just come to me. Thank you very much.